Welcome back to another special episode of our cycling guide along the Carretera Austral. Today's topic is something many people forget to plan for: cash.
Yes, we know. These days you can pay with cards or even your phone almost everywhere. But on the Carretera Austral, that's not always the case. Many small towns don't have ATMs, and not all local businesses accept cards. So, if you don't want to miss dinner, listen carefully.
First, always carry some cash. So, ideally, you should have enough money to cover at least 2 or 3 days of food, accommodation, and emergencies. You don't need huge amounts, just enough so you're not relying on an ATM. Money and modern convenience, we take them for granted until we're stranded in the middle of Patagonia with nothing but a useless credit card and an empty stomach.
That's exactly what happened to me in Caleta Tortel, this incredible village built on wooden walkways where digital payments might as well be science fiction.
Let me paint a picture of what we're dealing with along the Carretera Austral. In over 1,200 kilometers of pristine wilderness, there are only 11 places where you can reliably find an ATM.
And even then, reliable is a pretty generous term.
You know what's fascinating about this? The way it forces travelers to completely rethink their relationship with money. We're talking about a route where you need to plan your cash access points, like you plan your water stops.
Tell me more about these access points. Where exactly can cyclists expect to find working ATMs?
So you've got your major hubs: Puerto Varas and Puerto Montt in the north, then Chaitén, Futaleufú, Puerto Cisnes, Coyhaique, Puerto Aysén, Castillo, Chile Chico, Cochrane, and the Balmaceda Airport. That's it for nearly 1,200 kilometers of cycling.
Hmm. And there's this interesting local solution called Caja Vecina, right? Though it comes with its own challenges.
Exactly. Caja Vecina is this fascinating workaround from Banco Estado, basically mini ATMs in local shops. But here's the catch: they're notoriously unreliable with foreign cards, and in peak season, they often run dry.
That reminds me of something I noticed: the way local businesses have adapted. Some actually operate on partial payment systems or even informal credit with regular visitors.
It's like we're seeing this beautiful blend of old world economics and modern adventure travel. You know what the recommended cash carry is? Enough for 3 days of expenses. That's typically around 100,000 pesos for food, accommodation, and emergencies.
Well, that's interesting. How do you suggest people manage that kind of cash safely while cycling?
Here's the strategy that experienced cyclists use: divide your cash between your handlebar bag, panniers, and a secure pocket. Never keep it all in one place, and always withdraw when you have the chance, even if you don't need it right then.
You know what makes this even more complex? The seasonal nature of the route. During peak season, from December to February, ATMs can run out of cash completely.
That's right, and it creates this fascinating ripple effect. Cyclists start planning their entire routes around ATM locations, which actually leads to them engaging more deeply with local communities.
That's such an interesting point about community engagement. I've noticed how these cash limitations actually force travelers to slow down and interact more with locals.
And it's not just about the money, it's about understanding the rhythm of these remote places, like knowing that banks typically restock ATMs on weekdays, or that some small businesses might accept dollars in a pinch.
Though I should mention that relying on dollars isn't always a great backup plan. Exchange rates in small towns can be pretty unfavorable.
Let's talk about the bigger picture here: how this cash situation actually enhances the adventure. It adds this layer of strategic planning that makes the journey more engaging, more authentic.
That's so true. It becomes part of the story you tell later, doesn't it? Like, remember when we had to bike an extra 40 kilometers just to find a working ATM?
And these challenges are actually helping preserve something special about the Carretera Austral. The limited infrastructure keeps the route from becoming too commercialized too easy.
Though it's worth mentioning that things are slowly changing. Some larger towns are starting to accept more digital payments.
But for now, cash remains king on the Carretera Austral. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. It's part of what makes this journey unique, what keeps it wild and wonderful.
So, your best advice for future cyclists would be
Treat cash like water on the Carretera Austral. Never pass up a chance to refill, always carry more than you think you need, and remember that these apparent limitations are actually part of what makes the journey so memorable.